I have come to an insane revelation while I was working on my other videos. So, I got a comment talking about how Mickey was in 2 episodes of Scooby-Doo, I think, and I was like, oh, so he's the only monkey that was in Scooby-Doo because, Davy was in a separate Scooby-Doo show. He wasn't in Scooby-Doo like Mickey was. So, I was gonna make a video about that, and I still am going to, but I was like, oh, I'll make a video about Wonder Wheels too, because I made a video, like, a couple of months ago, I don't even know how long ago, where I was showing all of the voice acting roles Mickey did, and Wonder Wheels was one of them. And while I was, looking at the Funky Phantom stuff, I saw Speed Buggy, and I was like, oh, hey, I remember Speed Buggy, I grew up with that show too. And then, as I looked at Speed Buggy, and I looked at Wonder Wheels, I realized something mind-blowing. They're the same show. Now, I know what you're thinking. Amy, Speed Buggy came out before Wonder Wheels. Wonder Wheels came out in 1977. Speed Buggy came out in 1973. You are correct. But that would mean that since Speed Buggy came first and Wonder Wheels came second, that Wonder Wheels is a ripoff of Speed Buggy. Roll the intro. Roll the intro. Roll the...
Wrench! Socket! Plugs!
Motor!
Tires! Chassis! Speed Buggy! That's me.
Now, there's a bit more to say about Speed Buggy than Wonder Wheels, as there's not much on Wikipedia about Wonder Wheels, while there's so much about Speed Buggy, because it was so memorable, even though, like most Hanna Barbara shows, it lasted for one season. And I could see why. I remember watching Speed Buggy. Speed Buggy was pretty good. I think there was just one episode I watched where, like, he fell in love with another car, but it was like a trap. I don't know why it's the only episode I remember of Speed Buggy. Wonder Wheels, I remember just always saying, Wonder Wheel, because I was a really weird kid back then. And undiagnosed. So that probably wasn't a good mixture, but it don't matter, it don't matter. So, there's also a bit more about Wonder Wheels, as Wonder Wheels was part of a 5-minute segment for a program called The Skatebirds, which was an American live-action / anime package program that was produced by Hanna Barbara Productions and broadcasted on CBS from 1977 to 1978. So that's a bit of lore for Wonder Wheels. But we're gonna get into Wonder Wheels and then Speed Buggy because, as I mentioned before, Wonder Wheels has short information. Speed Buggy does not. So the plot of Wonder Wheels isn't the same as the plot of Speed Buggy, which kind of doesn't really make them like, the same show, because Speed Buggy was more kinda... Some episodes were taken from Josie and the Pussycat storylines, but we're not talking about Speed Buggy in this segment. We're talking about Wonder Wheels, which is the show I grew up with, but I also grew up with Speed Buggy. It's a bit confusing. But the plot of Wonder Wheels was that a 17-year-old high school journalist named Willie Wheeler, who was voiced by Mickey Dolenz, which, first of all, happy birthday, Mickey. Second of all, I couldn't even fucking tell that was Mickey. That voice actors are crazy. Like, how could I not tell that was George Michael Dolenz Jr.? Crazy. Now, it says Dooley Lawrence was his girlfriend, and I don't believe that shit, because she did not seem interested in poor Willie at all. My man's was like a simper, and she couldn't even be bothered. Anyways, they solve crimes. With the help of his superhero motorcycle, Wonder Wheels. Whenever Willie goes into action, he utters his catchphrase, "This looks like a job for Wonder Wheels!" And at the press of a button, Willie's beat-up motorcycle transforms into a flashy version with a mind of its own. And yes, Mickey voices the motorcycle too. And for some reason, though, the only voice actors in the show are Mickey and Susan Davis, who voices, Dooley Lawrence. This show only had 16 episodes. 16. Excuse me. Crazy? 16 episodes? 16, like, you're serious? Like, 16 episodes? Well, like, what? Speed Buggy also had 16 episodes. So Wonder Wheels is just copying Speed Buggy. Oh no. Editing Amy here before we talk about Speed Buggy. This is the episode I was talking about. This is the one episode of Speed Buggy I remember. This picture right here. This episode is the only one I remember. Okay, now you can keep going.
They raced today.
Now, the premise of Speed Buggy is very different from Wonder Wheels, because, well, obviously they're different shows, and Wonder Wheels is supposed to be a ripoff of, Speed Buggy, and they're still different regardless. But Speed Buggy takes some elements from Josie and the Pussycats and Scooby-Doo, which, side note, before I get into the premise, I think I need to talk about Josie and the Pussycats. I think I need to, because this is the millionth time I'm mentioning Josie and the Pussycats in a video, and I think I have to talk about it because, well, I'm gonna make a series again, and it's gonna be a Hanna Barbera one, and Josie and the Pussycats is gonna be part of that because there's literally a show where they go into space. But anyways, I'm getting distracted. The premise of Speed Buggy is that it's set in an assortment of locations around the world, so kind of like Scooby-Doo and kind of like Josie and the Pussycats. But then again, I haven't watched Josie and the Pussycats, so I guess kind of like Scooby-Doo. The series follows three teenagers, Mark, Debbie, and Tinker, so funky Phantom vibes, but they don't have a talking dog. Although Funky Phantom didn't have a talking dog, it had a talking ghost. And a talking dune buggy, so Wonder Wheels, but again, Speed Buggy came first. As they partake in various adventures, Speed Buggy, the dune buggy, was designed by Tinker and participates in racing competitions in order to collect the winners' trophies. During their travels, the crew often defeats villains and crooks in order to save the world, such as diamond thieves, carb-obsessed doctors, and evil pirates. Known as the Speed Bugs, the group of teenagers is able to activate Speed Buggy through the use of a portable walkie-talkie. Several episodes in the series featured reworked versions of storylines from, of course, Josie and the Pussycats. And now that I've mentioned all that, we're going to get into the characters. We're going to do this in order from the person who made Speed Buggy to the teenagers and then to Speed Buggy himself. So we have Tinker, who created Speed Buggy. He's a southern drawling teenage mechanic who made him, and he's a designated driver of him, and he's also his best friend. He's the car's best friend, Debbie is the girl of the group, and she's the leader, which is very new. So I guess that does take something from Josie and the Pussycats, because, and also there's no, although it's debated that Velma and Fred are both the leaders of the Scooby Gang. But anyways, there's Mark, the other teenager of the group, and the designated brain of the group. And a little, don't say anything, guys, but this dude was in an animated television film and the sequel to Oliver Twist called Oliver and the Artful Dodger, which came out in 1974. I will make a video about that later, but I just want to point out that the fact that the guy playing Mark, Michael Bell, voiced the Artful Dodger, and Davey did it, and then was also in an episode or episodes of the new Scooby-Doo movies. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Mel Blanc as Speed Buggy! Alright, I'm not even gonna get into Mel Blanc in this video, or whatever. I don't even know how to pronounce it, whatever. I'm not getting into this video because I'm gonna start babbling about how much he's been in my childhood, We're not doing that. Speed Buggy originally had two titles, which was Speed Bug and Speed Bugs. Weird names. I think they wanted to call it Speed Bug because of the Love Bug, which was made in like the very first Love Bug movie, and then also Speed Racer was around back then, which, oh my god, crazy? Well, the manga was out back then. I had no idea when the anime came out. Hold on. Speed Racer animated series. 1967? Shit, well that explains some things. the dubbing. The dubbing.
Stop crying. It won't do any good. And anyway, you have a lot of work to do, starting right now.
But anyways, the show's concept was partially inspired, though, by the 1968 Walt Disney movie Love Bug and then the Japanese Speed Racer franchise. It was hinted by author David Hofstede that Chug-a-Boom vehicle in Hanna-Barbera's Perils of Penelope Pit Stop, another thing I have never heard of. Anyways, that show served as a prototype for the vehicle in Speed Buggy. It was executive produced by, of course, Hanna Barbera and also a bunch of other people. Iwo Takamoto, the main producer, expressed in his post-humptuous 2009 autobiography that the creation of Speed Buggy occurred due to the success of his other productions, which was, of course, Josie and Scooby-Doo. He wrote that his participation in the series was partially because he enjoyed getting his hands on a show whenever he felt it was necessary. However, he was ultimately less involved with the show due to his trust with Bob Singer, an animation artist for Hanna-Barbera at the time. Alright. Not gonna argue with that. And before we get into the reception, the other voice actors in the show were Mike Road, Hal Smith, John Stephenson, and Janet Waldo. As I mentioned in a previous video, Janet Waldo was Judy Jetson, and Hal Smith was Owl in the first couple Winnie the Pooh movies. And Mike Road was also mentioned in the Funky Phantom movie. If I didn't mention him, well, I should have, because he wasn't in the Funky Phantom as well, so yeah. Now let's get into the broadcast history, the critical response, and the legacy, because there is a lot. Buckle up. Quite literally, buckle up for this one.
Who put the antifreeze in my carburetor? Yeah.
Speed Buggy was broadcast on CBS as part of their Saturday morning children's lineup between September 8th and December 22nd of 1973. Before being canceled, it continued to air regularly until August 31st, 1974. After its original run, CBS included reruns of Speed Buggy in their children-oriented television blocks. It was broadcast from February 4th, 1978 to September 2nd, 1978. And September 18th, 1982 to January 29th, 1983. It also played on both ABC and NBC. Look at that, talking about NBC again. Yeah. Anyways, when they acquired syndication rights for the series, ABC aired it at noon from September 6, 1975 to September 4th of 1976, when NBC abruptly canceled McDuff the Talking Dog. NBC, damn you! After its November 20th, 1976, airing Speed Buggy aired on NBC in reruns from November 27, 1976 to September 1977. According to the AV Club's Will Harris, the series was successful and had a large fan base because it aired on all three major television networks in the 1970s. During the 1980s, the series was rerun as part of the USA Network's USA Cartoon Express block, which is funny that we're mentioning USA in this video because that's eventually happening. But anyways, and also Cartoon Network had broadcast Speed Buggy on several occasions since its initial launch in 1992. As part of a Valentine's Day event in February 2007, sister channel Boomerang aired the program alongside other cartoons such as Tom and Jerry, the Jetsons, and Dexter's Laboratory. The episode Speed Buggy Went That-A-Way was featured on the Warner Brothers Presents DVD compilation Saturday Morning Cartoons, 1970s Volume 1, and released on May 26, 2009. As part of the Warner Brothers Home Entertainment's archive collection, the complete Speed Buggy series was made available on DVD as a 4-disc set. Now, here's where we get to the criticisms. And Speed Buggy, unfortunately, has some criticisms that they're like not really nice criticisms, like Jesus Christ. They are going ham on this, okay? They are going ham. So, in retrospective reviews, critics saw the series similar to the Scooby-Doo franchise. You could argue that Speed Buggy is a rip-off of Scooby-Doo, but to say that is like saying that the wall is painted or that the sky is blue. It's kind of obvious if you really look at it. Aubrey Sitterson of Geek.com included Speed Buggy on their unranked list of favorite Scooby-Doo knockoffs. Knockoffs, rip-offs, same shit, you know? He noted similarities between Speedy and Scooby-Doo's Mystery Machine and joked that Tinker is basically just Shaggy in a jumpsuit. Jumpsuit? The fuck am I saying? It's also been hinted, in this, thingy. It says that, Speed Buggy's success could have been derived from a shared storyline seen on Josie and the Pussycats. As I mentioned way before in the video, that they had the same storyline episodes as Josie. Anyways, similarly, Harris and the AV Club agreed and wrote that the main difference between the two shows was that Speed Buggy substituted racing for rock and roll. He also claimed that the main character confirmed that sidekicks don't always have to be animals. Speed Buggy and the Scooby-Doo gang would they would actually meet, surprisingly. Like, I know I mentioned in my video that they technically were in Mystery Incorporated together, but Speed Buggy and the Scooby Gang actually had a crossover episode in the second installment of, they met basically on the new Scooby-Doo movies, which, didn't last that long. Lasted for like 2 years, 1972, 1973, but they were in the episode The Weird Winds of Winona. Might check it out, might not, but then again, Davey was in the new Scooby-Doo movie, so that show just wasn't only filled with celebrities, like Scooby-Doo Guess Who. Several comparisons were made between the show and other works created by Hanna Barbera. We're getting to the meat and potatoes now. David Mansour, author of From ABBA to Zoom, a pop culture encyclopedia of the late 20th century, wrote in his book that Speed Buggy shared several characteristics with Hanna-Barbera's Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? He speculated that Mark was the Freddy-esque handsome brain, Debbie was the Daphne-esque pretty girlfriend, and Tinker was the Shaggy-esque mechanic and driver. Furthermore, he considered Speed Buggy to be one of the most famous dune buggies of pop culture, alongside the buggies like, the Funky Phantom, the Banana Splits, and the Big Jim toy line. Big Jim. Don't know who that is. In a retrospective view of older cartoons, the staff at MeTV included the show on their list of 15 forgotten cartoons from the early 1970s you used to love. On a more negative note, the author David Perrymutter found Hanna-Barbera's use of humanized automobiles to be too predictable and repetitive. Now, listen. Even with all this criticism, Speed Buggy has a pretty good legacy. Now, before we get into how Speed Buggy managed to still stay relevant, even to this day, it wouldn't be the last time Hanna-Barbera incorporated automobiles into animation. There was another show called Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch that came out, and I think it had driving dogs or cats. It has animals driving. And also Wonder Wheels. So technically Wonder Wheels, I don't know. Perlmutter grouped the three shows together, Speed Buggy, Willie and the Chopper Bunch, and Wonder Wheels, and called them a trilogy. Wonderbug, an occasional live-action segment of ABC's The Croft Super Show, featured three teenagers in a talking dune buggy, and often drew comparisons to Speed Buggy and the Love Bug. Alright, now I gotta talk about Wonderbug. God damn it. Wonderbug was also compared to the, show Mike Tyson Mysteries, with Rolling Stone's James Montgomery calling it an ode to classic cartoons like Speed Buggy, Scooby-Doo, and the Captain Caveman, the Teen Angels show. I don't want to talk about that show. I'm never talking about Captain Caveman. I don't wanna, and I never will. Now, if I had a P.O. box, I don't, but if I did, I'd ask one of you guys to buy me the 1973 Speed Buggy board game, because that sounds awesome. Anyways, Speed Buggy will make cameos appearances in like a bunch of other cartoons. We have Johnny Bravo, My Life as a Teenage Robot, Invader Zim, the 2020 Animaniacs series, so the reboot, South Park, Harvey Birdman, so another show like that on Harvey Birdman, and Futurama. After that, an updated version of Speed Buggy appeared in 2018 in the DC comic The Flash Speed Buggy Special. Bit weird, but the characters make a brief cameo at the end of the episode that I talked about. Oh, that's weird. Apparently they were in the episode with the Funky Phantom in the Scooby-Doo Guess Who show, in the second episode of that show. Huh. I didn't know that. Speed Buggy and Tinker would then appear in Jellystone, which I mentioned in the previous video, and you're probably wondering who voiced Tinker. It was Dana Snyder, which y'all know who that is. It's Master Shake and Aqua Teen Hunger Force. If you don't know him, you don't know the show, and that's pretty weird.
The Bible. This is the Bible.
You question the words of the mighty Jimmy?
No, I'm reading.
Their most recent appearance on TV was in the 2021 CW special Scooby-Doo, Where Are You Now? I remember when that came out, but I didn't watch anything from that show, so yeah. I hope you enjoyed the video. This was really fun to make. As I record this, it's gonna be 12 o'clock, so it's not Mickey's birthday anymore, even though I wished him a happy birthday in this video earlier. Disregard that. Disregard that. There's so many other videos to make, and I'm low-key kind of happy and low-key kind of pissed because of all the effort I have to put into it, but I love putting effort into videos, and this was very interesting to find these things, so be excited for that, as I will be talking next about the Fonz and the 2 cartoon spin-off shows that Happy Days got, and Doctor Who. Know what you're thinking? Doctor Who? What does Doctor Who have to do with Fonzie? You just wait, bro. You just wait. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. You could still recommend me Hanna Barbera shows that I haven't seen. I will make a video about them. But if it's a show I know, don't recommend it to me. I will not review Captain K-Man. I don't want to. No, I don't want to. I refuse to. So that's out of the window immediately. But yeah, I think I'll see you all. It's either the Fonz video I'm making or that really long video I'm planning. Either way, I'll see you later.